Guten Tag, Klasse. Heute lernen wir Futur I. The Futur I is a form of the future, and we're going to be using the verb werden with the infinitive of another verb to make this all come together. You can find the notes for the Futur I on packet page 25 in chapter 2. To form the Futur I, you have to be familiar with the verb werden, which means to become. It is an irregular verb. So the ich form of werden is normal. Ich werde. The wir, ihr, and sie form are also regular. Wir werden, ihr werdet, und sie formal and plural is werden. Where it's irregular is the du und sie es form. Frequently, people make fun of werden and say that it's a weird verb because for du becomes wirst, but for sie es, weird. So it is in fact a weird verb. Whenever you use werden on its own, it means to become. So if I added the word krank here, you're saying ich werde krank. I am becoming sick. Du wirst gesund. You are becoming healthy. Sie, or es wird hungrig. He, she, it is becoming hungry. Wir werden sauer. We are becoming angry. And so on. What we are going to learn now is how to use werden to form the future tense, to change the meaning from being to become to meaning will, so you can discuss what will happen in the future. You have already learned how to make statements about the future using the present tense with future meaning. For example, you've made sentences in the past like am Freitag gehen wir ins Kino. That's just typical present tense sentence structure, but you're telling me about an event that's happening on Friday. On Friday, we are going to the movies. So that is talking about the future, but sometimes it might be unclear. For example, if you just told me wir gehen ins Kino, do you mean right now? Do you mean next week? So we have a future tense called the Futur I that we use to talk about the future to really clarify that we're talking about the future. So just in case it wasn't clear from context, now you know for sure. So you're going to be using the verb werden, which is in the two examples here from the Fotoroman. And whenever you combine it with an infinitive verb at the end, it changes the meaning. It no longer means to become, it means will. So when I combine it here, I have will, and sein means to be. So he will, bald means soon, so he will be here soon. In this case over here, it's wir, so it's werden, and then müssen is to have to. So we will have to, halt machen means to stop, beim Blumengeschäft. We will have to stop at the flower store. So again, to form the Futur I, you use a present tense form of the verb werden as your main verb, and the infinitive of any other verb at the end that expresses the action that you will do. So we have an example here, wir werden. So in this case, werden means will. Treffen is to meet, so we will meet in einer Woche wieder, again in 1 week. If we make some other examples, ich werde, maybe I will call you. We know the verb for to call is anrufen. So I have to put that second verb at the end. Ich werde anrufen means I will call. But if I add the word dich, I will call you. Du wirst, you will. Another verb we know very well is spielen. Du wirst, if I just put spielen at the end, you will play, but we can add detail in between. Du wirst mit mir. You will play with me. Du wirst mit mir spielen. Wird, he will. Another verb we know well. How about haben? So right now it's just he will have. Well, what will he have? Maybe a test. Eine Prüfung haben. He will have a test. Now, on the right-hand side, the example here has werdet at the very front of the sentence, because when you move a verb to the front, now it's a question. So, werdet ihr am Wochenende Zeit haben? So, will you guys have Zeit? Will you guys have time am Wochenende? Well, if I took the sentence examples I made and moved werde to the beginning of the sentence, now it's a question. Werde ich dich anrufen? Will I call you? If I move wirst to the beginning, wirst du mit mir spielen? Will you play with me? If I move wird to the front here, wird eine Prüfung haben? Will he have a test? Moving that verb to the front just makes it a question, just like any other rules of German sentence structure we've learned before. So if you have a subordinate clause where you use a subordinating conjunction like weil, das, damit, ob, and all those others on the list we recently had, you're going to treat werden just like in any other sentence where you have a subordinating clause. It's going to go to the end. So if I just make a regular sentence as a good example, let's do a typical Wir werden ins Kino gehen. We will go to the movies. If I instead have a subordinating clause like I think that we will go to the movies. Let's see. Ich denke. And then I use das, I think that. So I'm going to take that original sentence I had and all these subordinating conjunctions kick that main verb to the very end. Nothing else is going to change. So I'm going to write everything else in the same word order. So ich denke, dass wir ins Kino gehen werden. I think that we will go to the movies. It's just that simple. It's following the rule that we already know. However, if there's a modal verb in the sentence, that's when things get a little bit funky. So when the sentence includes a modal verb, your normal sentence is still going to have the subject and the verb first. Wird, ich werde, du wirst, wir werden. And that modal verb will be at the very end of your sentence. That's your infinitive verb. So wird, in this case, müssen, so he will have to, and then arbeiten, he will have to work. Wir werden können, we will be able to, and then anrufen is to call. We will be able to call. Now, whenever we use it in a subordinate clause, normally we're going to move that conjugated form of werden to the end of the clause because of the subordinating conjunction. But the rules are different when you have a modal verb like müssen, können, dürfen, wollen, sollen. If you have those verbs, like we do here, we have müssen and können, well, the word order is not going to change. So if I have a sentence I prepared like ich denke das, So I want to combine that with he will have to work. I think that he will have to work. Nothing in the word order is going to change. Ich denke, dass wird arbeiten müssen. Oh, I'm out of space. I'll be underneath. Ich denke, dass wird arbeiten müssen. Notice it's the exact same sentence structure. This verb müssen makes us have to break our usual rules. So I think that he will have to work. Same thing for this other example. It has können in the sentence. So because it has that modal verb, it's going to make us break the rule of moving werden to the end. So our sentence structure is not going to change. To say we will have to, or we will be able to call, now I'm making it I am happy because we will be able to call. Well, können makes us break the rule, so word order will not change. Weil wir werden anrufen können. I am happy because we will be able to call. The Futur I is commonly used to talk about assumptions or expectations concerning the present or future. So some helpful words for us are wohl, wahrscheinlich, sicher, and schon. And when used with the Futur, they are all going to mean probably. So looking at maybe some of our vocab words, if I said ich werde sicher das Formular unterschreiben, I'm saying I will sicher, I will probably, and here's my verb at the end, to sign. I will probably sign the form. So let's see, if I erase that, we'll look at another example. Trying to use our vocab words a little bit. Wird schon mir einen Brief schicken. So he will send, I added the schon for probably. He will probably send me a letter. So let's look at some of our verb slides for the chapter and do some sentences for the Futur I. The first verb we have for our chapter is werden, which means to become. So if I have the sentence ich werde krank, I am becoming sick. Well, we know that with the Futur I, our main verb, which in this case is werden, is going to get moved to the very end and be in the infinitive form. And we're going to insert a form of werden to say will. Well, to conjugate werden, be ich werde krank werden. So now it's saying I will become sick. That might be a sentence you would use if someone wants you to go hiking and it's pouring down rain. You might say, Nein, ich werde krank werden. No, I will become sick. I will get sick. So, not so enticing to go hiking in the rain. The next verb we have in our verb slides is schicken, which means to send. So the present tense sentence we're starting with, schickt mir in die Stadt. He is sending me into the city. So we want to change it to say, he will send me into the city. So schickt is going to go back to its infinitive form of schicken and be at the very end of your Futur I sentence. So let's write it that way first. With schicken now at the end in its infinitive form. And I'm adding the will for the future. So form of werden, ich werde, du wirst, wird. Wird mir in die Stadt schicken, which means he will send, so we have schicken, he will send me into the city. Let's look at probably just 2 more verb slides. Our next verb is abschicken, which means to mail. And remember, this is a separable verb. So ab gets moved to the end of the sentence in the present tense. So when you look at your present tense sentence here, schickt einen Brief ab. He is mailing a letter. Now for the Futur I, we want to change it to say he will mail a letter. So abschicken is going to reconnect as one verb and be in its infinitive form at the very end of our sentence. So we have he will, then einen Brief, and abschicken at the end. So to fill in our blank, we need the form of will. Ich werde, du wirst, wird. So let's see, wird. Wird einen Brief abschicken. He will mail a letter. So there's our 2 verbs, wird abschicken, will mail. The last example verb we'll use is abheben, to withdraw. And again, this is a separable verb, so when you use it in the present tense, that prefix ab gets moved to the end of the sentence, which is why you have hebe and then ab later. Ich hebe Geld auf der Bank ab. I am withdrawing money at the bank. So if we make this the future, I will withdraw money at the bank, the withdraw will be the second verb in the sentence, so it's at the very end in its infinitive form. So everything else in the sentence stays the same. So there's abheben at the very end in its infinitive form. And you need the present tense form of will. Ich werde. So I will, and then abheben, I will withdraw. And then the rest of the information. Geld auf der Bank. I will withdraw money at the bank. So spend some time looking at the rest of the verbs from this chapter and fill in your Futur I sentences. If you end up with more time, look at some of the previous verbs you've had and fill in the Futur I line on those verb slides. It's great to keep up with these slides so that they don't kind of come and surprise you at the end of the year that you haven't filled them in. Viel Glück!